Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Jersey Baseball Show. We've got a special guest in Mercer County legend, Hamilton Township legend, former major leaguer, long list of accomplishments we'll get into later, Dave Gallagher. Welcome, Dave, to the show.
Thanks, Mike, but please drop the legend thing. I could just hear people out there going, he's no legend.
He
was all right.
Want Jimmy Mayer or somebody to question that legend right away.
Yeah.
We'll start with some current breaking news for Dave to kind of get into and share with us and explain to those of us listening your new role.
I was named senior advisor for the Centercourt Baseball program. Centercourt, which I'm still learning a lot about. I did my due diligence, spoken to a lot of people, but from what I know of them right now, there's 8 locations, all within New Jersey. Several are North Jersey. 5 of those locations have baseball, and they're continuing to build the baseball programs, and they want to have baseball as part of the athletic development and training that they do. There were several things that was appealing to me, but what jumped out at me is the staffing, like who the staff are. I know a lot of them personally. They're very professional people. And that sounds like it's supposed to be that no matter where you go, but it hasn't been. And I really was looking for a healthy environment to be a part of, healthy from every standpoint, from ownership through management to coaches to the kids and the families, just an atmosphere where a kid can develop and that you wouldn't mind going into work and conversing about the game that I love. And unfortunately, like I'll condense this a little bit, but when I was a younger guy, I have 5 kids, now 3 grandkids. That's how old I am. But when I was a younger guy, I did what probably most men and a lot of working women do. I chased money to raise my family. I got to make every dime and save every dime that I can so that my kids can go to college. My kids will have a car. I can leave money after I pass away. And then I got to a certain age and that changed. And it became about legacy. Like, what exactly am I leaving behind in this game? Did I have any impact? And I hate to say it, but if I was to die tomorrow, I would feel like, wow, like this is not good enough. But I've been in youth baseball for well over 20 years now. And I've seen a lot. Thankfully, there's a lot of good. And I've been a part of a lot of good and been able to help a lot of kids and a lot of families. I think that's what kind of keeps my heart beating in this industry. But I've also seen a lot of bad, a lot of unfulfilled promises, a lot of like dangling bait, just to get people to write a check, and lying, flat out lying. So I had no will or intention to get involved in anything like that. And when I started talking to all of management and staffing at Centercourt, I started hearing different things. I've looked into the ownership, and their holdings are sports related, a lot of them. And they're really big on youth development. So, I feel that there's not the stress and pressure that every other facility I've been at on having to hit a certain number to get by. The lack of stress in some parts is due to having other sports in the building. So the people that matter are big believers in multiple sports for kids. I've always been a believer in that. Relationships with the community leagues, the Little Leagues, the Babe Ruth, the Legion. That's not the easiest thing to do. But I don't think anything that's worth doing is easy. I really don't. Negotiating and talking and being honest with each other and trying to figure out, look, let's not bury each other. How can we work together? Because I think the kids have to be taken out of the equation. A kid should wake up in the morning and do what he wants to do. He shouldn't worry about, I feel sick to my stomach because I have a game for my rec league and I have practice for travel and somebody's going to get mad at me, so I'll just lie. And I've had kids whose grandfathers died 4 times. That's a sad thing to say, but you have a kid that is lying about the health of his grandfather
to get out of play.
to get out of like getting somebody mad. That to me is up to us as the adults, have to figure out a way to help these families navigate and let a kid do what he wants to do. If he's a multi-sport player, then we have to figure out a way to make it work to the best for him, right? And there are ways to do it. But I know I made this short answer long, but there's a lot of reasons why I wanted to join Centercourt, and they're the most important. I felt like I can help. I know I can help. I've got a ton of experience in youth baseball, in this industry. Let's call it what it is. It is an industry. And, as a consultant in any industry, it's not always what you did well that helps people. A lot of times it helps even more to say, you know what, I tried this, and they don't work. Let's try something different.
So it's crazy for a mortal person like myself to hear you say that, you think your legacy isn't set or good enough yet, because I think back that probably the first time that I interviewed you was back while you were still playing, mid 90s. And since then, I think it's, high school coach, college coach, taking, your Mercer to the D2 and JUCO World Series, Trenton Thunder coach, professional, inventor with the Stride Tutor, probably one of the pioneers of travel baseball, even if you think back to the old Frog Bridge days, which essentially was kind of the version 1.0 of what we see today. Time with MLB mentoring younger people. What you've done with starting the Gallagher program. So, I mean, to someone like me, that seems like, what more is there? I mean, you spent, 20 plus years since your retirement after an 18-year pro career, giving back to younger people. But what is it that really keeps you going and wanting more? Is it that, setting that example, giving back, realizing how many people gave to you on your way up? I mean, what sort of things kind of keep you going mentally?
Well, you just nailed a lot of it, to be honest with you. And some of it really is that I was kind of raised in the game professionally, but hell, I should go back to Little League.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 19 years old and I signed my first professional contract, I went away to rookie ball in the New York Penn League. And you got a lot of quiet moments. I'm not with my family. In fact, it was the first time out of state. I was upstate New York. But, when you're playing every day, there's a lot of downtime, a lot of free time, but there's also a lot of times that you're down and you start questioning, like, can I make this? Like, these pitchers are really good. I'm failing miserably. I'm used to hitting 380 and I'm hitting 240. Are they going to cut me tomorrow? What will I say? My whole identity to this point in my life has been, I'm a good baseball player. What will I say if I go home and I'm just now thrown into the mix? I don't have an identity. Like, a lot goes through your mind. And what became clear to me was how important Jack Sable, who was my Little League manager on Mercerville Shell, how important he was. Now, he would probably tell you that he wasn't an advanced baseball guy. He was a guy that worked hard, lived in Hamilton Square like I did, blue collar, 1 week vacation a year, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Hope it doesn't rain, because that's all we got.
That's all we get, right?
And this man would pick me up at my house and take me to practice. Sometimes pick me up at my house and take me to games. My father was fixing televisions back when that was, the deal. There wasn't like we have today. In the evenings, he was doing that and working all day. Mm-hmm. And then I would find a ride home somehow. Somebody on the team would give me a ride home. And it hit me sitting in my room in Batavia, New York, just how important all of these rec coaches that were in my life. They didn't teach me the most advanced things in baseball, but they brought me to practice and dropped me off at my house. And I learned and I played with my friends, and I got better. So that's how I was raised in the game. And then professionally, I know the sacrifices that a lot of men on a major league level have made, because even though I was never a player rep living in New Jersey, I went through 2 work stoppages, 1 strike and 1 lockout. And because I live in New Jersey, I would drive to New York to the Players Association, and I got involved. This was my job. I never understood players who didn't want to know what was going on. I want to know, and I want to have an opinion. I don't have to agree with everything that's going on, so I will have an opinion. And I just watched what was done and the sacrifices that were made, and I realized this is not just about me. The decision that I make and the stand that I make is for players who aren't even born yet. Somewhere down the road, when I'm long gone, there will be somebody playing Major League Baseball. And the fact that the Atlanta Braves were willing to sign me to a contract that paid me a hefty amount of money to be an extra outfielder, that was due to what players had done before me and sacrifices that they had made to obtain free agency. So again, another long answer. You see, I like to talk.
That's all right.
But to me, that's why what a waste it would be. I love sitting at the beach. I love my 3-mile walk on the promenade in Cape May every morning, and then diving into the water and dolphins going by. Like, it's the most beautiful thing and relaxing thing. But what a waste it would be if I just would sit home with all this information that's been given to me in my lifetime. Because I did listen. I retained. I think that's the definition of passion. When you like something, it's enjoyable, but you don't tend to retain the information or put the effort in to get better. But when you love something, and I've always loved this game, you hear everything. You hear what others don't hear, and you retain what others don't bother to retain. I've done that in this game. It's in my head. I can't use it anymore because I don't have the body. I don't have the athleticism that I had 30, 40 years ago. But I can give that information that's extremely valuable to kids who are as passionate as I once was toward this game. And I cannot sit home and just hold that in my head. That's what this new job, this new title allows me to do as a senior advisor. See, I see coaches, a lot of them as kids now. They're a lot younger than me. I want to give them that information too.
You're not just coaching the players now. You're coaching a generation of coaches.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do over the years has been what I used to call organizational workouts, where I would have like 4 teams come, to whatever field we're at, whether it was Mercer County College or Mercer County Park, wherever we were at the time, on a gorgeous Saturday. Get there 8:00 in the morning. 2 coaches per team, so you might have 6 or 8 coaches that are there. We gather around the mound, everybody with the players, and talk about, let's say, first and third defense and all the nuances. And I like to say, look, we're going to give you 3 options here. Play 1, play 2, play 3. But coaches, we've all come from different areas. Let me hear any nuances that you guys, and I'll throw it to the players. I want the players to speak up. You may have learned something different in your high school. Explain what it was and why you think they did it that way. Now we're having a conversation about the game, and it gives me an opportunity to talk about what I've learned. And I'm talking to the kids, but the coaches are hearing it too. That's my way of like not talking down to anybody, but just sharing the information that's been given to me. And then I want the coaches to have their own method. Because if they're being told everything to, here's the way I want it to be done. I've been told by some of my own guys over the years, you should have the Gallagher way. I don't believe in the Gallagher way. I would go out early for batting practice in the big leagues and watch other guys hit from other teams and say to myself, man, Alan Trammell, I love his swing. It almost looks like he's so fast from where his set position is with his hands to contact. And then it almost looks like it slows down to follow through. I can't figure out why, but he's smoking balls over the left center field fence and he's hitting for average. And I'm like, man, I love to have his swing. And mine always felt like it was difficult. And I'm not putting myself down. I'm just saying, like, that's what led me to believe there are so many different ways to do things and to have success. I've always been a big believer in there is not one way to hit. But if you take a guy with passion, a baseball player, a hitter who loves the game, teach him all the things that pitchers do to get him out, and then give him some space and let him work. Let him hit off the tee, but tell him, if a pitcher needs a ground ball, a guy just got the two-seamer, watch him warm up. Does he have sink on his fastball? Does he run it in? Is it heavy? Is it boring in on your hands? Is his sister pitch a slider? I mean, if he's a sinker slider, that's tough now. Your at bat just got more difficult. Is he a power guy as far as does he have carry on his fastball? But when a hitter starts to learn all the different ways that a pitcher can get him out, he'll work differently when he's alone. When he's in his garage hitting off a tee, his batting practice will be different because he's afraid of the constant failure that'll knock him right out of the game. But that was always important to me. I have to know, just give me the information of how they're trying to get me out, and I'll outwork everybody. And I'll do it every day,
So there's two things, or a couple things that you kind of touched on there that I thought would be good springboards for what baseball, all this knowledge and this accumulation through the years. And, the first is just, the ability to kind of, people say grind, like it's like what you're doing is torture, and it's not. It's the pleasure of play, but to work is probably the better way to say it, and persevere. I mean, just yourself, right? You were a two-time first-round pick, and one of them was in the January draft, which doesn't even exist anymore. But 8 years in the minors before before being called up, and then a long career after that. I mean, obviously, so many times along the way, and I guess you've even told a story where you were, between high school and Mercer, you were out of baseball. You were done, right? You were. We'll talk about Mercer Legends. You were working at Cedar Gardens, right?
I worked at a lot of different places, and this is Jimmy Mayer's favorite story. But I had decided, very stupid mistake on my part. I was not in a good place. I just was not in a good place. From 15 to about 17, 18, I was in a really, I had friends, but I was in a dark spot. I'd lost my father tragically at 15 years old. And it was devastating because it was shocking. Like, it was not something that I knew. I wasn't prepared. I didn't even know how to mourn. I didn't cry a tear, and they walked him out in front of me on a gurney with the blanket over his head. I'll never forget that. And I thought that was a mistake by the police. Like, don't leave a 15-year-old kid there to see that. But it was devastating to me. And I feel like it's going to change anybody's life, but it changed my life. And you never know how you're going to react or what a young kid is going to do. So, I don't know how many people will listen to this, but I would encourage adults to be a little patient with kids. Like, don't write them off. If somebody encourages you as a coach, hey, don't take him, he's trouble. Take the other route. Take him and surround him with people who have good intentions, including yourself as a coach, maybe the players around him, and you might change his life. My life was changed. I had good people around me. I had the Freemans, that family, for Legion, and I had Richie Giolella for high school, and I was heading in a direction that looked like it was a lot of fun. Hanging at the shore. Here I am hanging at the shore now.
Some things haven't changed.
but back then it was kind of like, I want to go to the shore. I don't want to, I don't want to play summer ball and I want to hang out with the girls, and which is never a bad thing. But I think baseball, Richie was the one that talked me into playing Legion. And what ended up happening is I got discipline. I had structure and discipline in my life, where it was a major void when I went through all of that.
Sure.
And so I was working at ShopRite. And I was in produce. I'm smiling because a couple of guys I worked with, baseball players, this is bad to admit to, it's just bad on every level. But I used to go in what's called the drop box, where they would deliver all of the vegetables and the fruits. And I'd take my cart that we'd load all the shelves up, and I'd hang back there and wait for baseball teammate at Steiner. He worked there with me. I'd wait for him to come back, and I would hide. And I'd have the box off of like plums and a box off of peaches, and I'd be hiding behind like a stack of vegetables. When he came in and started loading his cart, I just started firing away, and I knew I had a better arm, more accurate. And I would we'd go for 15 minutes just throwing fruits and vegetables at each other. And then one of us would say, we have to check the scale. Like people would come to weigh their stuff and get a price on it. And we would go out, and there would be like 23 people in a line. We're all sweaty. But that is what I thought. Like, oh, hey, I'm making my own car payments.
Sure.
This is going to be my life.
Some freedom, a little independence.
Oh man, what changed me was the run that we made for Steiner to that state championship when we played Rancocas Valley. We played Rancocas Valley at Ryder, and Franco Harris's brother, Giuseppe.
Wow.
I remember like, oh, that's Franco Harris's brother, and he was huge. Like 5-star recruit. He could play football. I think he ended up playing football, drafted in baseball, everything. He hit a ball so far over my head. And I guess people from Rancocas thought it went out. Ryder at the time only had a left field fence, and then it just became nothing. So this ball probably went 450 feet. But the way the fence went and the ground rules was you played anything that hit the fence. If it went past the fence, I think they called it a double. This bounced. On any other field, it would have been a home run, but it bounced before the fence and then over the fence into the parking lot. It was ruled a double. They ended up with second and third. We won that game 2-1, and they're celebrating on the bus after. And I remember looking out the window at the field and thinking, I got to keep playing. Like, even if we win the state championship, that's my last game.
Right.
And I ended up late decision. It was actually my girlfriend's father, who's now my father-in-law. He was the one that talked me into going to Mercer. But that changed my life. So again, I want to bring it back to encouraging coaches. When somebody tells you that kid's trouble, don't take him. He's good, but he's gonna. Please, you might change a life, which is a lot more important than winning a
15U title. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The other thing that kind of struck me is, that how the game can really help you, teach you, force you to deal with dealing with failure and using that as, I guess the old saying of failing forward into some sort of success later, but just, how you deal with that through your career.
Yeah. I'm going to pat myself on the back for that one. Like you get to know me, you'll see I don't have much of an ego. I am always more comfortable with people, just blue collar people who just like to hang out. I don't ever want to be that guy. Glad I didn't make so much money that I had to live a certain way. And I just don't want to do that. Never did want to do that. I know where I fit because I was on the field with some of the best talent this world has ever known. It really, like, a lot of Hall of Famers when I look back. And I know, like, I was in the major leagues. I'm proud. But from top to bottom, I'd be stretching it if I said I was an average player. Maybe I'm putting myself down a little.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
But if I was average, I'll take it. That for sure. But I will say this. I was above average in work ethic. And I didn't mind it. I'm very proud that my answer to failure was always work early, go to work early. And here's the thing. I'll give you an example, true example. Living in Millstone, playing for the Mets. I was commuting. That's a tough commute because 7 o'clock game, I was leaving at 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
You could never be sure if you ran into traffic.
I was going to say, it's still maybe, you're still pushing it.
So if everything was smooth, it would take me hour 50, which is fine. I'll take it. And then I would get in there and I'd be really early. But if somebody had a hubcap fall off, it would just clog up everything. And I'd still get there well in advance. So I had to leave early. I would, let's just say I left for a 7 o'clock game at 12:30 in the afternoon, get to the ballpark, might go into the weight room for a little bit, out on the field for early hitting, shorts on, shirt. You get done, you're all sweaty, you come in, you put dry clothes on, Then you go out for your regular batting practice with the team and you do your hitting, and you come in and you're sweaty and you put on dry clothes again. And then you go out, you take infield, outfield, which they neglect. They don't even take it anymore. I don't think.
That doesn't, that's, yeah.
Yeah. So we would do that.
You didn't age yourself before, you age yourself by that.
I know. I don't understand that. Like, I understand taking it off once in a while, but to not taking it all, I think it can cost you defensively. Then I would come in and say, I would do what we would call flips, right? You go down with a hitting coach, he'd be in the cage, and you do either front soft toss or side soft toss until I felt like, okay, that's the swing I want for the game. And now I look at the starting lineup and I'm not in it, which is okay. That's the point of the career I was at. I was a starter for, several years. So I got to stay mentally ready. Every other inning, I'm going up into the clubhouse, getting my bat out of my locker, swinging, stretching. I used to go in full uniform into the sauna to get my muscles just hot and sweaty, so I wasn't like stiff. And then, our pitcher's in trouble, might need a pinch hitter. I better go down there. Somebody else pinch hit. I wait. Oh, they got a lefty up in the bullpen. Orsolak's about to come up. Next inning, let me go get stretched again. I would do it. And then finally, pinch hit in the ninth inning. First pitch, I'm looking first pitch fastball. Why wouldn't they come right after Dave Gallagher? I'm not a power hitter. I'm looking, and I'm not going to foul this off. I do everything, put my swing together. My head is down. I'm thinking middle of the field. Hit the bottom of the ball. I popped it up. And I run it out, and I get done, and I can't stand myself. Game is over, and I got this 2-hour drive home, and I am just beating myself up. Like, you don't even deserve a uniform. You're terrible. And I'm not going early tomorrow. It's not worth it. That's what I'm saying to myself.
Right.
And then I go sleep, and I wake up in the morning, and I think, I got to go early. I got to hit. So I would do it again and just keep doing it. And the bottom line is, work ethic does not guarantee you a thing. It doesn't guarantee you success, like short term. But I think, maybe I said that wrong. I guess it guarantees that you will give your best shot. Yeah. You will empty your pockets and have your best shot, but it won't guarantee that you're going to get a hit or you're going to have success that day. And when it was all said and done, I carved out a 9-year career. And Mike, I'll say this, it's another category I'm proud of. There are 3 programs that are run right now that are cooperative efforts between Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball's Players Association. There's 3. Jeez. The Rookie Career Program is 1. And I've been doing that for 27 years. Mm-hmm. The Hank Aaron Invitational, I think that's no, it's not. My hat is over there. That used to be called the Elite Development Invitational. Mm-hmm. I've been doing that for 7 years. That's another one. And then this third one is, it's called Healthy Relationships. And it's really kind of the fight against domestic violence. And I've now done that for 3 years. And I'm not a professional counselor by any means, but they asked me to come in and basically meet with every major league player, one team at a time, gather them in the morning and introduce them to the staff of professional counselors. And I've kind of just taken a different angle. Those guys don't want to be in a meeting at 8:00 in the morning in spring training. The veterans just want to get ready for the season, and the rookies are nervous. They want to make a team. They can't sit still. And I would just try to get them and say, look, this may not be interesting to you because maybe you haven't witnessed any domestic violence. But I think all of you would agree. I played this game for a long time, and there's so much failing, regardless of your personality and how you deal with failure. Out of experience, I can tell you, you will be your most vulnerable when your confidence is shot and when you're failing miserably. And every year you play this game, you will be in that spot. Mm-hmm. You will be there. And that's when you might have the tendency to do something that's dumb. And they listen because I played. And that's really my goal, is just listen. And in the next hour, you might hear some things that give you the tools to deal with something that will help you or someone in your family. But that's the 3 programs. And I'm not in a Hall of Fame. To think that they picked up the phone and called me to be a part of these 3. I got to ask Tony Clark. I said, Tony, why am I getting invited to do this? And he said to me, Gally, you being serious? And I said, yeah, I'm being serious. And he said, because of the way you handled yourself as a player and post-career, that's why you get these calls. And that, I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
You know, that I feel like is something to hang my hat on, you know.
For sure.
Maybe I'd feel better if it was 500 home runs or something like that. But,
you were close. Close.
Yeah. Yeah.
But before we self-deprecate too much,
Yeah.
you know, when you did get called up with Cleveland, right? But it was really
Yes.
Chicago where your career kind of blossomed and bloomed. And we're talking, you know, for those who don't know, 1988, 5th American League Rookie of the Year, right?
Yes.
300 average, your first full year up in the bigs.
Right.
You know, played with both the Phillies and the Mets, kind of puts you in rare company to be booed by both franchises known for booing. But you know, to start out and it made me think of the White Sox days, with them just clinching a playoff spot the other day, and Tony La Russa being the manager again. Your stint up there, what do you remember about playing in Chicago? Pretty cool time, right? Finishing out Old Comiskey too.
It really was. But I think, again, I hope that there will be a lot of kids who could tune in and hear this, and even coaches. Go back to that word empathy. So very valuable information right here, I think, anyway, because I believe every athlete that plays to a high level, not even a high level, but, you know, maybe any athlete, period, will go through what I went through. From the time I was 7 years old, I told people that I am going to be a Major League Baseball player. And I didn't say I wanted to be. I said I'm going to be. I didn't know that was probably a stupid comment and how hard that really is. But it is what I said I was going to do. And then all of a sudden it happened. And Brett Butler, if you remember him, he got hit by a pitch, broke his hand. And I was playing, and I was playing center in AAA, and they called me up. And I remember feeling overwhelmed with emotions, like excited, nervous, scared. I don't know if I'm good enough because I don't know this level. I mean, this is what I've wanted my whole life. Here it is. And I played not to fail. I remember saying to myself, you know, even if you just hit a ground ball to the shortstop, I see it happen all the time. I just don't want to look really, really bad. That was my mentality. And I looked really, really bad. Before I knew it, I was 4 for my first 36 and I was sent out.
Back in AAA, yep.
Back to AAA and then traded. And it was a year later. I was still the same person, but I got the call up in Chicago. And I remember the plane flight in, saying to myself, promising myself, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this or not, but I'm getting after it. If I showed you the swings in my first at bat in Chicago as compared to the swings I took in Cleveland, they're just totally different. They're like getting after it.
Yeah.
You know, and nobody gave me that advice. Nobody said, hey, you're holding your hands too low. It wasn't mechanical. It was all in my head. And I forgave myself for that. Like, I think that happens all the time. I was watching Rory Mcilroy at the Ryder Cup over the weekend. I'm like, my God, he looks like he never played before. You know, thankfully he had a final round where he won that point. But it happens to the best in all sports where, you know, your mind is somewhere else. You failed and you lost confidence. But then it can change. And you're right. I go up the next year. Before you know it, I'm starting center fielder. And then I was 9 straight years. And I hit over 300. And it took a base hit on the last day of the season for me to do that. And what a great feeling. Can you imagine being from Hamilton Square? And it was in Kansas City. And I hit a base hit to like right field or right center. I rounded first, and coming back, I was like so giddy that I stepped on George Brett's foot and with metal cleats, and he goes, ow, he like pushed me. And I'm sorry. And he said, then he congratulated me. So how cool is that?
Yeah.
You know?
First person to congratulate you hitting 300 to rookie George Brett.
Yeah, he said, "Good job, kid." Those moments I cherish. Like Don Mattingly, how cool is? I wish everybody got to meet Don Mattingly. I know he's not in the Hall of Fame. His back probably cut that short. I was just talking about.
It's like the Chase Utley of his time, right? He was a Hall of Fame player, but not quite long enough.
Yeah, and I saw him. I used to go in the Yankee Stadium in the visitors' weight room and hit the speed bag. I just always enjoyed hitting the speed bag. So they had one there, and I'd go over there early, and I'd just be whacking that thing. And I look, and he's stretching again, like for a 7 o'clock game, and he's in there 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, stretching out his lower back. But talk about passion. I mean, he just loved playing the game of baseball. And I had a 4-hit game in Yankee Stadium. And after my 4th hit, I was man on second, nobody out. And I'm thinking, I got to get him over. So I'm thinking right side. Don't know if anybody does that anymore either. But I hit a nice line drive over the second baseman's head. And I round first, and I come back, and he says, "We can't get you out." And I'm looking at him like, "You're Don Mattingly."
You just said that to me?
Yeah. Do I have to explain who you are? I'm Dave Gallagher. It's a plain name for a plain player, you know. But those, like, I now I think I enjoy that more than I did then. I wasn't really taking it in then. Yeah. I was just too focused on staying.
Perspective now.
Yeah, and now I think, man, there's some cool moments that I got to be a part of that I kind of wish everybody could share in them, you know.
Favorite manager you played for, and favorite stadium you played in?
Boy. Yankee Stadium was cool towards the end of my career. I'll start with that one. Because the first time I went to Yankee Stadium, it's when I was with Cleveland and playing nervous and scared and not to fail. I didn't want anybody that I knew to be anywhere to see me. Yeah. Because failing in front of people that you don't know is bad, but failing in front of people that you're going to go home and see.
Whose opinion matters, worse. Right? Yeah.
And once I had some success, and then I learned how to, make it just part of a normal day and relax and enjoy it. I loved it because there would be bus rides sometimes to go see me from back home.
Right.
And I can still remember a game where the whole busload of people were down the left field line, and I was playing center at Yankee Stadium. And you know how the outfielders throw the ball around before every inning gets started, and then you toss the ball in. I would get the ball in center, and I would face them from center field and hold the ball up in the air like, "Get ready, I'm going to fire this into the stands." And that whole section would stand up and yell, and they were smoked, with beer probably before the game even started. And I would take a crow hop and throw it into the middle of that crowd every inning. And they were loving it, They were absolutely loving it. And here's a great one. This is just a weird one, but for the people who would be listening to this, you remember the Fink family from soccer.
Yeah.
All right. Tommy and Joey and Jimmy and Harold. I went to school in the same grade with Tommy. His older brother, Jimmy, just by coincidence, had a business trip in Texas. And he came down and saw me right before the game. And I recognized him, and he had a couple of business associates with him. And he showed me where he was sitting. I was playing right field that day. First at bat, I hit a home run. And once he saw that I was playing in right field, he went around to right field. There wasn't many people out there. So he had, he could talk to me every inning. And I'm throwing him a baseball. And next at bat, I got a single. Then I think I made an out. And then my fourth at bat, I hit another home run. And it was the first time and only time I had hit 2 homers in a major league game. I don't know if I hit 2 homers in any game in my life until that day. And I come out and I gave him a bat, like handed it over. He was looking at me like I was God. And I thought, how cool would it be to be him, to say on this one day, this guy, I know him really well. He's from my hometown. He went to school with my brother, played soccer with my brother. And then I hit 2 home runs. Like, that's pretty cool. I think that'd be pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Much coincidence, because I never hit 2 home runs again. And
actually, that part of the story doesn't have to be told.
I had a 5th at bat, and I had a chance. And I knew, like, gut feeling this is going to be the only time I ever have a chance to hit three home runs.
You were swinging for it.
3-1 count against a guy named Dale Mahorsick.
Yeah.
And I just said to myself, he ran the ball in heavy, but it ran in hard. He was a right-handed pitcher. And I said, I am not getting beat here. I'm getting the barrel out. And I did. And I got out and I fouled it off but I was out there full extension and fouled it off. And then he walked me. He came in even tighter off the plate on the next pitch. And I thought, well, there goes that. And I was right. I never had another chance to hit 3. So good moment though.
How about manager stories?
Manager, I always wanted to play and never got the chance to play for Jim Leyland. I was very good friends. I became very good friends with Jeff Torborg.
Was he the manager when you got called up, or because I know he was at some point in the White Sox career, right?
Yeah, he was. No, he was not the manager when I got called up by the White Sox. That was Jim Fregosi.
Oh,
and then Jim got fired, and Jeff was the next year.
Okay.
But how about this though? Another good manager story, and this I'm going to say. This goes to, again, the kids that are listening out there, work hard. Everybody says the right thing. Coaches will tell you, you never know who's watching, and it's true. But in 9 years, I ended up playing for Jim Fregosi twice, years apart.
Yeah.
Played White Sox. I want to say it was 91, maybe. No. It would have been 88. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
88. For him, and then the Phillies in my final year in 95. I played for Jeff Torborg in 89, and then on the Mets in either 92 or 93. Yeah, and then I played for Marcel Latchman as a pitching coach for the Angels, and then go back at the end of 95 to the Angels when he was the manager. So it made me feel good that these men who had me on their team
wanted
me back and for, to fill some kind of a need.
Yeah, because at that point in your career, they're going to go with the veterans that they trust.
Jim Fregosi made me feel great. That when I went to the Phillies, that was out of a work stoppage of 94 when there was a strike, I want to say. No, It was the lockout.
The lockout in 94 into the beginning of 95.
95, I have no team. I'm a free agent. So the Players Association set up a spring training site for all unsigned free agents. It was in Homestead, Florida. They brought in some people from Nike to stretch us out, and they had major league coaches to come throw BP to us and hit us ground balls and fly balls. It was strange. Like, I'm out in the outfield, and outfielders would come walking up to you and say, hey, you getting any interest from anybody? I didn't want to tell another outfielder because I'm thinking he's going to go tell his agent to call that team.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like very secretive. And I think I brought a couple $1,000. I didn't know how long I was going to be there. Day 3, somebody came out of the dugout, and I heard Gallagher, and I looked over like mad sprint in, like, I can't wait to get in there, at least, because I did not want to rot there. I don't even know how long they did it, but that call was from Lee Thomas, who was the GM of the Phillies.
Yep.
And we made a deal on the phone, and I told him, it's a pretty cool story, like behind the scenes. I said to him, Lee, man to man, I'm telling you right now, you have a deal. I'm good with that figure that he gave me for my salary. But I don't want either one of us to look back at this 2 or 3 months from now and feel like they got over on the other person. I know what kind of effort I'm going to give you. So again, I'll tell you, you have a deal, but if there's any more room in that figure, I'd appreciate it. And because I didn't say my agent's going to call you, I just did it myself.
Right.
He said, are you going to be there in 10 minutes? And I said, I have nowhere to go. I'll be right here. He goes, all right, stay there. It took 5 minutes. He called back and he goes, all right. And he upped it, I don't know, 50 grand or something like that. But hell, that's 2 cars for my kids.
Right.
So, but the fact that he upped the number, just simply because I think it was because of the way I did it. And then I jumped in my car and went across the state, and that was Jim Fregosi. I'm thinking I got to go make this team. The first day I got there, he says, David, come here, sit down. I sat next to him and he goes, you know about Izzy? He was talking about Jim Eisenreich. He said he has Tourette's. He's on medication. He doesn't bounce back too good with day games after night games. And so I think your role is, you probably already know, you'll face all lefties and you'll play all day games after night games. And, you know, anybody gets hurt, that kind of thing. And I said, yeah, that's kind of what I thought you had in mind. I had no idea. I thought I was going in there to make the team. But that's pretty neat that he trusted me based on what he saw and had from me before.
From 7 years before.
And I loved that. I loved being in Philly. That was a much easier commute than New York.
Yeah.
I really did. I enjoyed it. That team was a cast of characters.
Yeah.
Really was.
Still the hangovers from the 93. Hangovers might be the wrong word to use with that team, but the hangovers from the 93 team.
It's yes. But you had Dykstra, you had Dalton, you had Hollins. So you didn't have Kruk, and Mitch Williams was gone. But Darren Dalton was one of my favorites of my entire career in spanning, 7 different major league teams. He was the best true leader that I ever played with. I wish that team didn't get so wrapped up in everything that they felt was necessary to help them play a game, but because there was real competitors. And I wasn't one to want to jump in a car and leave after a game, and neither were they. I want to talk about what just happened and, what can we do collectively to be better tomorrow?
That was the team to do it with. I mean,
they did. They would hang out in the trainer's room.
And
I felt like I want the crowd to disperse anyway. I can't jump in my car trying to, I'll be in traffic. So what an excuse. I'm going to sit around and talk baseball. With Dalton and Dykstra. And at one point, Dykstra looked at me in the trainer's room and he said, Gally, you want to be back here next year? And I looked at him like smiling. I said, what kind of question is that? Of course. And he said, we can make it happen, right, Dutch? And I look, and Dalton's like smiling, going, yeah. I think Lee Thomas and Jim Fregosi really leaned on them, but their bodies broke down. They just broke down. It was like they put their bodies through so much that they went from being the leaders of that team to like they couldn't physically even get through. It was hard to watch. It was sad to watch. But it was a fun team to play on.
That team was a shooting star, though. It had its moment, and they just couldn't physically handle it.
It's true.
So we got our idea for our next episode, which will be an hour of Lenny Dykstra stories.
Oh yeah, well, you can go a long way with them, that's for sure.
But certainly appreciate the time. So much good stuff to go into, and always appreciated your everything through the years too. So to have you on here is an honor for me. Let you get on with the rest of your day and what we need to do. And I guess we didn't even get into the wine and the big hardcore Chiefs fan, because when this airs is going to be a couple hours before. I talked to Mike Petrowski this past week right before the Cowboys-Eagles game, and it turned into be an ugly one for the Eagles. And got a feeling that I got to stop scheduling people whose teams play the Eagles the day that we air their interviews, because it 1 and 2 Chiefs they're probably they're not going to be taking the Eagles lightly, and that's not a good thing.
Well, that's 2 teams that already are in desperation. They're going to practice hard. I really like the Eagles after last week, and probably like every Eagle fan, I was kind of disappointed for them last night. But that being said, as a Chiefs fan, I'm scratching my head. You guys know what I never knew until a couple of years ago. A Super Bowl win can be like long lasting.
Yeah.
So even though I'm so disappointed that they're 1 and 2, I'm still kind of living off of that Super Bowl win.
Right.
So,
probably one of your Chiefs fan life too, right? I can't imagine you being a Chiefs fan that long ago.
Yeah. 50 years. I was 50 years since I was 9 years old. Actually, now it was 50 years before they won the Super Bowl for me.
Yeah.
Here's why I got to tell you one quick thing. A couple of years ago, because we had the pandemic last year, I was down here and I watched the Eagles-Chiefs game in a Jake's, like seafood restaurant. You know, it's got nice dimly lit bar, televisions all over the place. And there's not a Chief fan in there. And I'm not a fool. I didn't wear a Chief anything that had Chiefs, but I just sat there with a couple of cold ones and listened. And every play, you know, if it was a big for the Eagles, they were like, yes. Anything that went against them, it was like, how can you call that? And it was enjoyable for me to sit there. I used to do that with Allentown football when Jay Graber was the coach there. I just really enjoyed watching him run an offense that reminded me of NFL. And I knew a lot of the kids there because I lived in Millstone. I would go sit across the field in the opposing team stands. I just like to hear the comments that are made. Now people just go berserk on referees and even their own coach about put Tommy in. Like, that's entertaining for me to just sit in the middle of that. They probably wonder, like, why isn't that guy saying anything? I just sit there. But
I like to take it in. Yeah.
But listen, one last thing. If there are coaches or kids or parents out there listening, look up Centercourt, go online. They'll be coming out with tryout dates soon. I think maybe even Lawrence may have already come out with it. And at least attend the tryout. I'm all about telling the truth and integrity, and I know they are too. And I do want this to be a spot where kids can and families can have a healthy relationship. You know, after all, it's going to be mostly about the kid and how he develops and his talent level. So you'd want him to be in an environment that is conducive to his long-term health, not just how he is as a baseball player. And I'm looking forward to it. I hope I see everybody out there.
Absolutely. And through the magic of post-production, we will have the website will be up throughout this interview. So people will have the chance to, connect that way as well. And Dave Gallagher, certainly a pleasure. And we look forward to having you back soon.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.